Morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. Now see, I didn't even press that on and it came on by itself. My phone does that all the time. It just activates itself, which is kind of daunting, right? So anyway, a message. So I had a dream, and I've done a drawing, so I'll show you. So this was it, right? There's this is the gate, like the gatekeepers. Now I don't know if you can see it, but I've kind of like used a pencil they were kind of like these gatekeepers, or these are spiritual protection. The collective is on the other side of that wall. You know, like there's this doorway, and it was very crisp. It was very like it was made from either concrete or stone wall doorway, very very solid, and it was very significant that that doorway was solid stone or something like white. It was white stone, this doorway. The collective was somewhere on the other side of these two energies here, and they were like energies. So I'm just showing you, they were figures, but they were like made of smoke, you know, but they were like watching the gate. So this is spiritual protection, right? From whatever the hell this is lurking in the collective's energy. They're hovering outside somebody's door. You see that energy? It's got red eyes. But this is the collective's protection. Like, there's no way this thing can get past these two. Okay, so know that there is spiritual protection. Now, another part of I don't know if it was the same dream. It was like just a big green blob. I don't know what the hell that was, but it was like a big slimy green blob was something. I don't know whether that could be significant to anybody there, but you know, it is what it is. Now, the other thing is that there's been a lot of debate about Jesus' name, or the Messiah's name, I can say it like that. And a lot of people saying that Jesus is the name of the devil, right? Because Christianity, the symbol of the cross and whatnot being, it's actually a Roman construct, which some believe is the name of the devil. Jesus is the name of the devil, and Yeshua is the correct name. So I threw some cards and Yeshua came out straight up. So I pulled these cards after I was listening to somebody talking about this. And what was really bizarre was when my cross broke just the other day. It just sort of like busted, like there's no force on it or anything, it just broke. And it came to mind with this debate here. And we know, like, in the end times that there is going to be a whole lot of, and we already know, like, I don't even know if it's real, but because like how there's so much AI generated information out there, it's difficult to know what's real and what isn't, right? But and this is where we need to be careful. We need to actually turn off everything. Just turn everything off and listen to nothing, right? I mean, I'm very, very blessed here because we need to go within, and that's where we find the Holy Spirit inside ourselves, right? We cannot trust the Bible because it's had so much corruption attached to it. It's full of like mythologies that have been stolen from different cultures. We know that it's it's full of great knowledge and good stories for lessons, right? But that's exactly what it is. It's a book of lessons, right? But there's so much debate about like Yeshua's name and like who's the devil, who's the Antichrist, all this sort of stuff. But I think I spoke about it the other day, like with the cross being the symbol of Now, this is what they're saying, a symbol of the devil, right? Because it was actually a construct from Rome, which was a manipulation for sure, right? But so many people resonate with it. But you know, like how words change meaning, you know, like things can be created for, like a word can, you know, how it changes meaning, like wicked, you know, you once was wicked, but, you know, now it's kind of like seen, you know, like how everything's topsy-turvy, which is true. Like words are very, very significant as to what we are spelling out, you know what I mean? Because that's spell work, that's speaking things into existence, so the words are very, very relevant, and symbols are very, very relevant. You know, with my cross breaking the other day, like for me the cross was like a protection amulet. Like it actually did prevent a lot of people, you know, like with unwanted advances type thing, because they go, well, that person's religious, they're not going to be that way inclined, you know what I mean? So it can, you know, things can be used, not that that was the only reason, right? I had other reasons, but it's just an example, right? But having said that, the words, the spelling, and spelling, right? The way things are spelt is spelt. Spelling spells, right? That's what they are, spelling something out. So it is important about these names. For me, I refer to the Holy Spirit and my spirit guides and my holy ancestors. I always refer to the holy, the highest frequency, and that way you can't get that mixed up, you know what I mean? I mean, you can call on ancestors, but not all of them are going to be of a high frequency, so you've got to be careful with that too, right? So, anyway, the other cards that have come out. So the first card out was Yeshua, right? Jesus' name. And then we've got will, right? The will be done, right? Yeshua's word will be done. God's will be done. We've got books. So this is many books written. Hypnosis. So the books are hypnosis. So we pull words from a book. It causes triggers. Symbols create triggers. People make judgments on symbols that people wear, or even clothes. You know, like even people's, you know, appearance. People make judgments on, right? And so what we are promoting is what we receive, right? I was looking at like years ago. You know how it was fashionable for people, like, you know, like the t-shirts, and, you know, like I was saying, like with the wicked, it was, you know, like everyone was getting around with these t-shirts with wicked, and it's almost like a programming to program people to be wicked, and that's why they flip the words up, you know what I mean, to mean something else. I think it's is it Montessori that spoke a lot about the word, you know, the words being manipulated to change meaning. Shush, Luna, sorry about that. She just barks sometimes. She gets a vibe, right? And she'll just start barking if there's nothing there. But it's a vibration. It's a vibration that she's feeling, right? So we had the hypnosis came out. So, you know, like, so a lot of the big conglomerates and that, and they promote things on t-shirts and labels and stuff like that. And I was in the shop the other day and I was looking for something to get for my daughters, right? And I was looking at the t-shirts and what they was promoting on the t-shirts, it just looks like meaningless words to people, like people don't really take it seriously, but it is actually spell work that they're doing, and they're actually walking around with things written. I'm just trying to think of the example that was on these shirts, and it was repeated and repeated. Silence was one of them. Silence, so be silent, was being promoted. So when you see the words that are being promoted on the t-shirts in the mainstream shops, those franchise shops that are everywhere, you know what they're promoting. And so when I started with my t-shirt, online t-shirts, and that was what I had in mind, but I wanted to counteract that. Although my shop has been, it's on pause at the moment, so you can't go there and buy that. So I wanted to promote the idea of care, right? To care for one another, to love one another. And I know there's a lot of other people that are actually doing that as well, So, we can have countermeasures that operate in the same way, but what is written and what is promoted in whatever way is very important, and for us to take notice, right? And not just sort of go along, unaware, unconscious of these things, okay? But we have these gatekeepers here, these protection energies here, because then the next card that came out was the devil with hypnosis, right? And the next card that came out after that was Jesus. So analysing this word. Now, what was another one that I came across the other day was, the vows is Jesus' name. The vows is Jesus' name. Or not, I'm not going to say Jesus' name. The vows are Christ's name. Analyse the word Christ. Christian, right? And we know that that's been demonised. This is what I was going to say. Christianity is being demonised here in Australia now, and probably in America. I mean, that was written, right? It was written in the Bible that, and then the idea of denouncing. And so this is where this can be a trap too, right? With the name Jesus, is this a denouncing? Is there a trap there? Right? So the other one that I heard was the vows, I-E-O-U-A. The vows, and to be saved. I-E-O-U-A. So, and we know that the devil's out there trying to confuse the shit out of everyone. You know what I mean? But see, I'm not no expert on studying the Bible or anything like that. I can't quote nothing, right? And I'm not going to claim that I know because I don't, right? But when my cross broke the other day, it was that was there's definitely something very symbolic going on there. And that can go both ways, right? Because the demonic energy can play with us like that, as well as the Holy Spirit sending us messages. So our Holy Spirit messages can, but this is where we've got to go within, and we've got to actually really feel the energy, right? But collective, do not be afraid, because our Holy Spirit guard dogs are here, protecting us from this dark little this pathetic looking piece of shit there. Compared to these guys are up there, right? And they're glowing. They were glowing but they were smoky, right? And this is a lot of white, light coming from behind these energies. It was like light. It was pure light. See, there's also that, you know, that confusion around that. But this is where we need to go within and to feel ourselves. So with whatever energy is surrounding us, we actually have to feel it. And if we know that some energy is calling us to do something that goes against our inner knowing, our feelings, if something goes against that, if it's against the rules of natural law, then we're not going to do it. Okay, so we're not going to be influenced. We cannot be easily influenced. Words or no words. This is where the spell work does not work on the collective. All right? Because we've got these gatekeepers here. And that is coming from our inner knowing, right? Our inner guard. No weapon formed against us shall prosper. All negative energy projections will be returned to center. So it's either high frequency or it's not, right? If we go with the feeling, is it high frequency? Is it a high value? Does it make us feel bad? Does it give us a positive lift? Or does it make us feel lowly, fearful, resentful, jealous, or, you know, all those sort of things? This is how we know, right? You can't fuck that up. Excuse my language, but it's just how it come out, right? But this is why it's important to know oneself and to go within. If you can, you get out in nature. And this is another thing. I bought one of those like frequency generators that you put in your ears, and it kind of helps you sleep, and you know, like it can actually heal and you know, it's like this sort of frequency I use here, but it's an electronic one that you can actually, you know, you can adjust the hertz, right, for healing whatever you want to heal, right? But then I realised that, like, because I'm out in the bush, right? I'm, you know, I'm surrounded by nature, and it's peaceful, and I can hear the birds, I can hear the cicadas, everything, you know, the crickets. Those frequencies of the nature are exactly the same as what's coming from the frequency generator. So I don't even need it. I just go out here. So if you can do that, you just get out into nature, because you're going to get the right frequencies from that for your healing, and from the water, you know, like the sound of water flowing gently, that kind of thing, you know. So let's get some, let's get the Sacred Destiny cards out. I hope everybody's well. Yeah, because there's a whole lot of confusion out there at the moment, and it is best just to turn everything off. Don't watch, and just go within, right? Don't watch that and go within, because they're going to, especially online, you know, they're going to be on there giving you all sorts, we've got change here, they're going to give you all sorts of information to confuse you, you know, and they want us to fight with each other. So we've got to, it's very important that we stay calm and don't get carried away in the big wave of negativity. That's what they want. That's what they want us to do, right? They want us to react. They want us to fight. So that way they can come down on us real hard. They can actually introduce martial law in that way. But we have miracles here. We can create miracles with our energy. right? But we've got to stay on that high frequency, so that's why it's very important for us to not get carried away with all these things that are going on. And I know that it's very, very difficult because they're working very hard at throwing a lot of things at people, you know. But a lot of it is, you know, like they're on about like censoring everybody, right, for hate speech and all this sort of stuff. And in doing so, they're creating more negativity by censoring people. I mean, it's the same as like with prohibition years ago, you know, as soon as you take something away, it makes people actually want something more, you know what I mean? So it all just goes underground. It makes people respond, but that's what they want. They know that, right? They want us to respond negatively. So what is this miracles here, Spirit? What do we got here? What is the will? The will, the God's will and miracles. There could be two flames here with these two matching energies. See the two rainbows? They're the same on different levels. I think I spoke about that before, the levels of that mountain. There's two flames here that are the same, but they're on different. They might be like one frequency might be a little bit lower than the other, but they are of the same. Yeah. Somebody might be more like earthly, and somebody is a high is radiating a higher frequency just above another energy that is, it's actually, somebody here is like almost going invisible, you know, like with high frequency, like you can't hear it or see it, you know, like it vibrates so high that you can't see it, you know. Somebody's in and out. Somebody could be in and out of visibility. This is crazy. Somebody, transformation is the dot of the dead. Transforming. So see how this one here is very bright. This one is like almost, is sort of like getting a little bit on the invisible side. You know, transparent. Somebody's transparent. Okay, so transparency is a key. It's higher frequency. It's a higher frequency. Transparency. There's a miracle happening here. I've got a little story I wanted to tell of one of my experiences, but that might have to be in another reading because this is going to get too long. It's already 23 minutes in. Because we've got to trust ourselves, our own experiences, our own, you know, like what's in front of us. This is what we believe. You know, like we've got to, you know, but at the same time, higher frequencies invisible, right? So what we feel, there's what we see in the physical realm in front of us, and then what we feel from that, our own experiences. Not to be swayed by others' words, spell work, by others' spelling, others spitting. Oh, I'm getting spitting words. Oh, wow. Somebody's spitting words, like somebody's angry and spitting words. See, that's not high frequency, that's not high energy, right? Like somebody somebody here is spitting words, like they're getting very angry about trying to express what they believe, but everybody sees and feels differently, right? And so people need to be allowed to see and feel differently in their own right. But somebody spitting their beliefs, projecting their beliefs onto others. Well, this is what's been going on for generations, right? Like it's always been the argument. But see, something's happening here. Like I'm seeing this, the rippling. See how this is this is, because here we've got something firm. The R here is like firm and solid. We can see it, right? But here it's starting to become invisible, or broken, or fragmented. But the higher frequency, you know, like as the higher frequency, it vibrates so much that it becomes invisible. You know, like when you go into a meditation and, you know, like your eyes, you know, like first it sort of, what do you call it? Inverts, like the light inverts, right? It goes opposite and changes colour. You know, everything kind of goes rainbow, like, you know, if you can focus on the sun, it goes pink, you know what I mean, that kind of thing. But then if you're focusing on something and for a certain amount of time, and it starts to do this, and then eventually it just all blends and disappears. So everything disappears. It's like that. If you know what I'm talking about, you know, if you go into meditation, you know what I'm talking about. And that's going into that higher level frequency, you know what I mean? Because you're vibrating higher, you become invisible. Right? I remember that as a kid. I used to think I was invisible. I thought I was invisible because it was kind of like I was in the background and never heard, basically. But I was always made myself that way. I made myself invisible so people wouldn't target me, because I experienced a lot of, you know, negative projections and bullying, and so I learnt to become invisible and disappear into the background, you know what I mean? Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I did actually literally become invisible with that higher frequency. I fall into that. I go into that, like, to avoid being targeted. The will. Miracles are here, but we've got miracles coming, right? So so at this time, with all this negativity surrounding us, you know, this is where we're going to see miracles happen. That's the way it works, right? So the Holy Spirit here, God here, is going to perform some miracles for us, right? Or through us, Spirit says. Woo-wee! I just said. So when I was saying that, it was like, you know, like performing some miracles, and I'm getting like this. I'm not going to say it, but you know, you can see the image. But see how there's a baby coming out. Somebody might be having a baby. Somebody might be very fertile here, and they might be actually having a miracle baby. Wow. In what way? From the cosmos. Maybe this is where we're talking about Yeshua. A miracle baby, right? Immaculate Conception. Is this what we're looking at here, Spirit? Somebody's name might be Samantha. Thriving. Somebody's thriving. So this is the will of God. Look at this energy. It's thriving. It's brilliant. There's brilliance here. I'm getting brilliance. a miracle, brilliance, like something's shining really bright. Enlightenment, right? Enlightenment. Somebody's shining very brightly. Somebody's been enlightened. Somebody's moved to a new level. We've got flexibilities in reverse. Somebody's still spitting chips, I'm saying. Somebody's unwilling to be flexible. Somebody is unwilling to see things in a different light. Somebody's unwilling to be enlightened to a new frequency. We've got focus, and this is with hypnosis. And this is so this big cat here, the way he's looking up like that, and he's focusing. See how he's looking very focused? That's that hypnotic energy, right? But somebody may be hypnotized. Somebody might not be able to see outside of their indoctrinations, you know, like the old paradigm, the heavy frequency, the dark frequency, the lower frequency, hate speech, and you know, this person's spitting chips, as I was saying, somebody's spitting words at someone. But Spirit says no, just stay focused. Just stay focused, don't worry about this. Okay? Don't even look. And this could be a lot of it on social media and, you know, like you know, on the TV or on YouTube, you know, whatever it is you watch, right? Or read even. But mostly everybody's watching at the moment, aren't they? You know, everyone. I don't even think anybody reads anymore. Okay, so we've got stillness, yeah. So one needs to be still to receive the downloads and the frequencies. Oh, now this is giving me, okay, so I might have to tell my little story, right? But I'm hoping this won't go too long. But see all these little lights around. This is coming from this is the frequency, this is the energy that's coming through the stillness, right? It's the frequency, it's the vibration that is magnetic. Now, let me tell you a little story. This might be a bit freaky for you, but it is what it is, because it is something that I experienced. It's pretty wild, but I'll tell you anyway. I'm sure people that are here in the watching me have experienced some pretty freaky things anyway, because you're on the frequency. You're in that same frequency, right? That's why you're here. Unless, of course, you're a cross-watcher and you just want to spit chips. Project negative energy. So anyway, when I was travelling, I went to this place, and it was a bit of a hard call getting there. I had to do some pretty wild four-wheel driving to get in there, but there was a specific gorge that I wanted to get to because there was these Aboriginal paintings there, and so it was pretty quiet, and well, the waterfall wasn't quiet, I can tell you that. It was a big waterfall. It was very magnificent, and it was sort of like a cathedral shape, and you could walk there's these levels to it, a bit like that, right? A bit like these. See these levels? There's these levels, so you could walk along here, and then the waterfall will come over you like that. And under the waterfall areas, there was these paintings. These paintings were obviously of some beings that Aboriginal people experienced at this place. And anyway, so I sat down there and I meditated. There was nobody there because it was pretty hard to get to place. Yeah, it was pretty extreme four-wheel driving, I can tell you that. It's sort of up to my driving skills. Oh. But anyway, this is a bit of a long story. I'm sorry about this, but sorry, but not sorry. Anyway, these little dots here. So coming out of as I was coming out of my meditation, I started to channel these frequency sounds, and so I was singing these frequencies that were channeling through me, right? And then I sing in this frequency where it was coming from, and it was these little beings, and they were in the water, and they were coming. See, this is like the water droplets coming down from the waterfall, but where the water gushed down and it sort of like pushes a ripple effect out onto the water, there was all these little beings bobbing just at the bottom where the waterfall came down. All the energy's going to the water, and they're bobbing around, and it's like giving me like this. And they had like, but they were singing this frequency, right? That was just magnificent, like, and it was in this cathedral. But these beings were like, they were only little things, little people like that. But they were like a gun barrel black inside, but on the outside of them was like this white, slimy sort of film, like, you know, like, they were like, you know, like a frog's egg, and you've got the black inside, and then you've got that see-through film on the outside of it. They were like that. So, but these are like little, you know, they had big eyes, and they were little black people, all sort of like gun barrel, sort of blue-black, you know what I mean? And on the outside of them they had this film, but they were bobbing around, just bobbing in the water, and they were singing this beautiful frequency. There was a very, very high-pitched sound, and I was channeling that through my throat chakra, right? It was pretty wild. But what I discovered in that as they're bobbing up and down in the water, their sort of their film on the outside was how they procreated. They bounced in the water and kind of like rubbed up against each other, and that's kind of like how they, and then more would, you know, then they would have like tadpoles. I didn't actually see them, but that's what, I just had that knowing that that's what they were doing. They were procreating, and they were singing into existence life. Pretty wild. But there was three different types of beings. So that was one type of being. Then up on the ledge where I was sitting and I was meditating, there was these other little people, and there was heaps of them, and they were all around the cathedral. They had another frequency. I started to sing this another frequency, and I started to sing that from my throat, and they were sitting with me, these people, and they were like sort of like about that high, you know, like medium-sized people, right? Little people, but bigger than the other ones. But they were like brown-skinned, and they had black fuzzy hair, but they had these really, really square, and they were very stocky and solid, and they had these very square jaws, and these beautiful big mouth, big smiles, like big teeth, big smiles, and they were just so blissful. The sound and the energy that was coming from both of these different groups of people was the most amazing, blissful experience I've ever had in my whole life. The energy that was coming from them, and the way these little people were just that. So nobody talked. They just spoke through the frequency. It was just the frequency sound that they were making which I channeled myself and was singing with them, was creation itself. The frequency was creating, and the bliss in that was, I can't even explain it. But there's a third little group of people, right? But there was only like 3 of them, and they were like big, tall creatures or beings. They were intelligent. They were not. There was very, very high frequency energies, and these tall ones were like really hairy. They had all this hair. I couldn't really see their faces because they were so hairy, like they were a bit like big huntsmen. And the way they moved, they crawled over the rocks like huntsmen do, like, so they could be upside down, and they were big, but they crawled like huntsmen. But they also had a frequency that they were singing, but it was a low, deep sound, a bit like the Mongolian throat singers. It was like that. They made sounds like that, and so the 3 different beings had different frequency sounds, but they all sung together harmoniously. Now, I channeled each one separately, obviously, right? But to sing all those frequencies at once, but I could hear them all at once. And the harmony in this gorge was, and with the rushing water as well, the sound of the rushing water was just, I can't even justify it. And I can't sing it. Well, I pick up frequencies quite often, and I sing the frequencies that I pick up when I'm in specific places. It just comes out. I had another one the other day at one of the waterfalls that I was at, but it always seems to happen at those type of places. Yeah. So you can think I'm nuts if you like, but no, it was a real deal, right? It was real. Because they had the sound frequency was evidence, right? Anyway, that's my testimony to that. Abundance. And see, it was singing life into being. This is what I'm talking about. It's about the singing, the song, the sound. Yeshua is relevant here. Right? So, having said all that, let me pull some tarot here. Take it, take it as you take it, right? It's difficult for people to swallow these stories that I have. I do have more, but a little bit at a time, so I don't freak people out too much. But it's definitely the song lines. It comes through as dreaming, right? Okay, miracles. So somebody's learnt some lessons. We've got the wounded warrior. This is the lessons learned. So this is like an initiation type. I'm just getting that. I'm just feeling the emotion there. This is the enlightenment, the sun coming out behind the clouds for this person. This is the creation of life. There's the leaves. I've spoken about the fern leaves before as well, about how we you know, like those of us that resonate, and how we resonate in the same frequency and have this, because it's like being part of that fern leaf, and this is how, but they're of the same plant, you know what I mean? So the frequency is the same, so each plant, everything has its own frequency, right? So the people that may come to watch me are on the same frequency as me, right? Unless, of course, you're a cross-watcher and you want to just spit chips, right? But we're not talking about them people. We don't want to give that energy. But, and each one of these fern I don't know, is it fern prongs? Well, kind of, you know what I'm trying to say, right? Each one of those little ferns on the fern, the leaves on the fern leaf, each one of those is like each one of you, right? But we're all of that same leaf. So we're of the same frequency. So we generate the same image. So when we're talking about the image of God, generating the same image of God, it's generating that same frequency. And that frequency that I got from those little beings and big beings was that bliss, harmonious, peaceful. Those little people were so happy and blissful. It was just so beautiful, you know? So beautiful. And this is an initiation. Someone's become initiated into Yeshua frequency. There's battle here though. This is somebody spitting chips. And somebody working against it. Somebody trying to cause burdens. Okay, the illusions have been lifted. This is somebody wanting to spit chips, right? They're battling. They want to battle this. But we have the Wheel of Fortune here, and somebody is not in regret for sharing this Wheel of Fortune, which is sharing the knowledge. This is the moving forward, right? This is the revealing. There's no regret in this revealing, but somebody wants to fight. But that's just been going by the wayside. It's not, yeah. This is people holding on. See how they're holding on to those wands? They're holding on to the past. They're holding on to the past frequency. The staffs, the magic wands. It's like they have to hold something external to themselves. So there's 5 different energies. These could be 5 different belief systems. See how these people are holding onto those wands, those rods. It's holding on to the material. It's what they can see. They can't see outside of themselves. I mean, they're working with things outside of themselves, and they can't see inside themselves. I'm sorry, I said that back to front. It's like they're holding on to the material. It's like holding on to the book, right? But see, you know, God was around a lot longer than a book was written, right? The book was put together for mostly manipulation, but also to, you know, it was also there, and it does have good, you know, insights and stories, but they're stories, just like I'm saying, from others. So we've got to trust our own story, right? We can learn from others for sure, as we do, right? But we have to look within to find our own frequency, like find our own leaf, basically, our own fern leaf. What fern leaf do we belong? What resonates for you to create? Because we are creators as well. We bring life with our frequency. Frequency brings life, right? Speaking into existence. The sound resonance births life. Okay? Abundance. See the growth? This is why, like when, like you've got plants and you put some beautiful music on, like a beautiful frequency for your plants, and your plants, that they thrive from that frequency, they grow. But if you put something like angle grinder music or something on, they like it wilts them, it brings them down, it brings their frequency down, and they don't grow. There's been lots of experiments on that sort of thing. It's same as like the water experiments. Oh, I need to know what that man's name is, but he did a lot of experiments with the water, like speaking love into the water and recalibrating the water molecules into their correct pattern, that sort of thing. You can research that if you like, frequencies and pattern molecules, or molecule patterns in water, or there's been lots of experiments like that. Same as like in the sand, you put a frequency on a say you've got a steel plate and you've got sand on there, right? And then you attach sound frequency to it, and the different frequencies create different patterns in the sand. It vibrates into a pattern. And this is what I'm getting going on here. So yeah, you can research that, and I can't remember the names of the people that have developed the experiments that you can actually see on YouTube. I should actually get some links or something for people. But I'm sure you've probably already seen it, especially if you're already here watching these videos. You would already know these things. So we have the world. We've got thriving and the world. Thriving in the world. But the abundance is in reverse. Is that correct? I think we're going to have an economic downturn. Something I'm seeing. The money, this is the frequency of money, and I mean the physical money, you know what I mean? It's over for the economy, the physical economy. Wow. But something here is thriving, so we don't want to be fearful now, okay? So people are actually scared, and because of the loss of the physical money. But remember, the abundance isn't actually in the physical money. It's in the frequencies we hold. Okay? So Spirit is saying not to be fearful of this change. It's over but things will be thriving. There is life thriving after the fact. There's life will be thriving after the change, after the ending of the physical dollar, I'm hearing. We've got abundance still here, and the mother. The mother is the creator. You know, like the mother birthing. The mother is the birth, right? This is a energy. Where's my dog? This is like giving birth from the water again. The abundance. The water is very, very significant, obviously, because water brings life, right? And that comes with the emotion, the feeling, and like the feeling that I was getting from them. Oh, just a minute. You wouldn't believe it. Like when I when I paused right there, it was 55:55. That's complete change. This is what's happening right now. So this is actually the end of the physical dollar. Okay? But, hang on a minute. Okay, I'm back, sorry. Yeah, so this is the end of the physical dollar, but it's collective. This is saying not to worry because the mother here, the earth mother, is bringing abundance. There's abundance all over. I know there's a whole lot of shit going on with AI and all that sort of stuff, but well, I feel Spirit is saying not to get caught up in that. Clarify the enlightenment. There's a high priestess in reverse. This could be like a false narrative. Got star mother. Is that the way that's supposed to come out? Yep, it's in reverse. So there's a high priestess in reverse. Under enlightenment, somebody is not enlightened. To a star mother. Star mother. Star mother. There's a Queen of Pentacles. So the Queen of Pentacles is in reverse. May have been exposed. Somebody is not stable. And this is giving me that physical... The physical, right, is not stable. The physical abundance is not stable. This is what this is. But we've got a star mother here. Star, and this is the waterfall again. Look, see the waterfall, the abundance, and the star mother. That's universal. Oh, I heard universal love, right? Brings abundance. Universal love. But this high priestess could be the one that's spitting the chips. The high priestess in reverse. They could be fighting the enlightenment. It's unstable materialism. And then we've got universal enlightenment. In the water. It's the water, it's the star and the water. The star mother, the star and the water. It's coming from the stars and the water. Alright? Star mother. Somebody's not flexible, so we've got flexibility in reverse. Clarify the flexibility in reverse. This is an amazing reading. Page of Cups, this is the new beginning, the Page of Cups. In that is a cup with the creatures coming from the water and the stars. Look at that. This is the new beginning. See the stars? And it's like the stars falling into the water. Stars are falling into the water. For a new beginning. And that's also like this is like, yeah, this is like this new rebirth. This is the new rebirth. So, you've got stars and water. Sorry, there's people out there. I'm just going to use the bath. We've got new life coming out of the water from the stars. So it's like the stars impregnating the water for new life. There's new life. Stars impregnating the water for new life. Wow. But we've got flexibility in reverse. This could be telling us that it's inevitable. There's no flexibility here. There's no. This is just going to come, whatever. You know what I mean? It's going to happen whether we like it or not. But we have a Hierophant in reverse at the bottom of the deck. This is the fall of the hierarchy that was controlling the abundance. Oh gosh, page of that. That's the fall of the false, of the prophets or false gods. Somebody's not got something coming in. Ships are not coming in for someone that's trying to manipulate with the Magician in reverse. So the Magician is somebody who had control has been exposed as a fool. Somebody's been exposed as a fool. And it could be a Queen of Pentacles who's the High Priestess here, Magician. So we've got the High Priestess in reverse and the Magician in reverse. So that's male, this is masculine and feminine, but they're in reverse. They're both in reverse. Unstable. They're unstable. They're unstable too because they are not flexible. It's like a stubborn, stuck in doctrination. Okay, clarify, focus. Focusing on the pentacles. It's the material, right? But there's something's balancing out here, the material and the flesh. Like, the material and the abundance. So these pentacles here are like the material, but then we've got these fish. This is like the physical, you know, what the money buys. You know what I mean? It's going to come straight out of the water, and this is also giving me the stars in the water scenario, like the stars, because that's like stars going into the water, but these fish are dead. The scales are being balanced. Why are the fish dead? This could be the focusing on the negativity. No, Lena, sorry, I'm yelling. She just broke out of the gate. This could be, shit. There could actually be like something falling from the sky into the ocean. And it could be, it could take life, like the fish, like this is like the dying fish, dead fish. With this material, something going into the water from the material, maybe taken the life out of the fish. And see, this has come out with this magician in reverse, who's this material, the resources. This is like putting, okay. So this is putting life, putting material objects in place of living abundance. You know, like natural abundance that we should all be able to just access, like the fish and the water and, you know, like the natural abundance around us that was given to us by God, right? And this is the control of that is falling. So we're seeing it like online and that, we're seeing it as like the pentacles, like in the physical being taken away and everything going on to AI and, you know, electronic abundance. But I think this is telling us that that's not going to work. And the end of the day, what we need to be focusing on is actually the physical life, living abundance. You know, the natural life, the natural food, the natural animals that are provided for us. The food chain, you know what I mean? And that's another thing being promoted is that food chain destruction, you know. And that destruction being promoted through so-called environmentalists is actually promoting the opposite with AI replacements. So at the end of the day, if the world was to be operated by AI and robots and things, it takes man or the resources to create objects. So here we go with humanity thinking they're God, right, that can create these machines to do everything for us, to create for us and that sort of stuff. But what happens when the resources run out where you can't even build a robot because there's not enough resources to build a robot? You see what I'm saying? So that's flawed. It'll come to an end. It's already coming and it hasn't even got to fruition yet. But it's already happening here with the loss of this physical economy. Because people are not focusing, and this is what we need to be focusing on collective, is the real life abundance, the actual what God has provided us in its natural form, the food that was provided for us in its natural form, the plants, the animals, the insects, all that stuff. You know, the real living abundance is what we need to be focusing on, because this is the end of these false prophets I'm getting. And I'm hearing prophets as in false prophets, like not prophecy as such, but prophet, like prophet, you know, like what people are profiting from. You understand? And that's the false prophet. Yeah, you get what I'm saying? The false prophet is what we profit from is false. We don't profit from all these things. We're not going to profit from robots and AI and all that sort of stuff, all the false life, because it's not living, it's not life. The real profit, the real abundance, so let's say profit as abundance, is natural life force, which is actual plants and animals and living beings, right? There's the prophet. The prophet is in the living, not the dead, false prophet. The machine is the false prophet. You get it? The machine, the AI, the falsely generated life is the false prophet. Got it? Wow, this is amazing reading. This is amazing reading. Six of Pentacles. Thank you, Spirit, for giving me this message today for the collective, because this is going to Ten of Swords, humanity. This is where the false prophet is leading humanity to death, to the machine, leaving people sad and vulnerable. Look towards life. The Knight of Cups. The water. Look at the fish coming out of the sky. The stars entering the water. The fish entering the water. This is life from the water. You see the fish coming out of the sky there? Entering the water. The cup of life. The horse, the animals, the birds, the water, the earth, the flowers. See, because this here, look, this is a good example right here. Here we have the false prophet, the money, the physical, right? Leading to the death of the fish here, right? This is death. Here, the watering is bringing down abundance, the fish into the water. They're live. They're alive. This is death. This is living. This is amazing. Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups is not going to leave us in despair. The Knight of Cups, the living, the life force is not going to leave us in despair. The life force is God, right? The seed, the star coming from the sky, landing in the water on the earth is bringing life. The original life force. Now I sang years ago, there was an Aboriginal artist, a woman, I think her last name was King. I can't remember her first name. She's an Aboriginal artist, I think from the Territory, and she might be Central Australia, I'm not sure. But her paintings are like dots, right? But a very, very extremely spiritual knowledge, like I got it right straight away, and it was like this big circle which was all made up of these dots coming down, and it was like the sperm entering the earth and creating life. She painted this painting in such a way, it was just incredible, and this is what this is giving me here. It was like a big, like the meteor coming from the sky and penetrating the earth. It's coming into the water. It's entering the water on earth to create life. Wow. Let me pause here. I've got to go and get the dog. Sorry about that. I'm back. So the life force or the false prophet is definitely okay. The false prophet. And if you look at the word, what do you first think of when you hear the word prophet? What can we profit from? And what has now I'm going to say the Antichrist. I'd like to actually analyse the name Christ. What does that mean? I haven't done that. What does that break down to? When we're talking about anti-Christ, we're talking about anti-Christian. The word Christian? Christianity was born from Constantinople, right? Constantine created Christianity. I don't know, this is going to that'll have to be for another reading, right? Because here we're talking about frequencies and the real life force energy, and you know, like tapping into that Aboriginal artist that created that painting was very, very and what I was getting here with the stars entering the water to creating life force, to creating new life. That might be something that is going to happen again. And with my story with those little beings in the water, they were star beings in the water procreating new life. This is what I'm getting. Okay? I'm not creating this story. I did not create this narrative at all. I just came in here raw, right? Again, like this is the stillness, in the stillness, and these little life. This is like little life forces going to be entering this water. And again, focusing, we've got the snowflakes, but the snowflakes is giving me something else. Again, life force. It is in the water. I mean, the snow is water, right? Somebody walking away. Somebody could be walking away from life force. The Eight of Cups. Walking into the mountain. You see the Eight of Cups? And this is somebody's heading towards this mountain and a moon. This might be somebody going within, somebody walking away and going within and discovering love. Well, this is walking away from the abundance, or walking away from the cups, like walking away, because cups is water, but I'm not getting that this is it could be emotional attachments. Somebody's walking away from emotional attachments, which is all that has been our programming with the hypnosis and the books written down here. The will of the books, the hypnosis of the devil. Yeah. Somebody's dropped their guard. A Hierophant in reverse. Someone's dropped their guard. And they're walking away. Clarifiers. Queen of Pentacles. Now this Queen of Pentacles was in reverse, right? Unstable. Now look, this person's stable. This person's grounded in the earth. The material is coming from the ground, the earth. This is transformation with the butterfly there on her wand. See? Nature. It's gone from these wands. He's fighting over these material things, transforming the world with the little world there, the butterfly transformation, and this wand here is stable, it's upright. This pentacle is grounded. This is nature. The flowers, the bunny, the animals and the plants. And there's apples in the tree. What is that? The original sin, the eating of the apple. And this is a feminine energy, right? Transformed. Returning to life. The moon. The moon is significant here as well. This is somebody moving towards a mountain and a moon. But this is creating life, because look, that fish there in the water is alive. And this bird is in a cage. The caged messenger. I think, okay, so the caged messenger has got out. They've left these other attachments behind. This person's moved into the mountain and they've escaped. See how they're in the tree now? It's like they've come from this cage and now they have come into the tree. And they're being enlightened by the moon. Maybe could be to do with the moon cycles and the light. You know how everything works with the moon cycles, you know, the currents of the ocean and that kind of thing. You know, how the life cycle of the plants is relative to the moon. And this is bringing birth into the water, new life into the water. New life into the water. Abundance, independence, sovereignty. This is sovereign energy. Look how happy that is. Right? This is the real prophet, is the nature spirits. Look, the butterfly, the bird, the dog, the tree here, and the sunshine brings independence with the Six of Pentacles. Right? That's the true prophet, is the nature, abundant. There, again, abundance, life force. It is not in man-made. Okay, so we've got the Knight of Wands here. Let me see how that was supposed to come out. Yeah, he's in the upright. There's passion here. Somebody, could be getting on their horse and riding to the mountains with their staff. This is like giving me a new lease of life. This is movement into the mountains, movement into nature. This is moving away from the AI. This is moving with nature. And I'm saying moving with nature. Right? Passion. The passion brings life. With passion. Moving with nature. With passion. Which brings life. This is a beautiful read. Knight of Wands. Careful, Knight of Wands. We're bringing this to a close. Ace of Wands. Right, there's the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow. This is a new road, a new path. A new abundance. A new wand, and it's following the feathers. I had 2 feathers on my doorstep yesterday. Follow the path of spiritual guidance. There's the messages. What which comes from within, right? The Knight of Swords is here. Move quickly. Ooh, I heard that like with a bit of urgency there. Spirit saying move quickly to the mountains. Wow. Do not bring anything with you. Three of Pentacles, Three of Cups. I said Three of Pentacles. So somebody might be, yeah, okay. So Spirit saying no. Leave that behind. It's going to drop out tomorrow. Three of Cups in reverse. The Coven. Knight of Swords. This is spiritual guidance. Move quickly, move swiftly. There could be a storm, like a big wind, I'm not sure what form that takes. Could be like a blizzard. Somebody could be running or moving through a blizzard, and I've got that focus there as well. I mean, I'm in the heat here, like, this could actually be for somebody specific. The Knight of Swords. Somebody needs to move swiftly and leave whatever that Three of Cups is behind. Someone has to leave some stuff behind. Could be leaving people, places, and yeah, it could be just leaving whatever it is. It could be people. Wow. Okay, so let's finish here with some advice from our Aboriginal Dreaming card. Seems very relevant. There's foolishness at the bottom of the deck. You are worried that by letting go of your frustration, those who are responsible will perceive they have won. Well, they have won because the only one suffering is you. So this is somebody not letting go of something. So this is what needs to happen. So let's see what else here. Our holy ancestors clarify. Clarify what? Curiosity. There is so much knowledge surrounding this decision you need to make. However, there are more options you have not yet considered. Slow down and the right opportunity will present itself. This is waiting for the guidance, right? Even though we got the swift energy to move, but Spirit is saying, slow down. So somebody needs to just take a deep breath, breathe out, and the guidance will come on which path to take. Breathe it. Don't panic, is what Spirit's saying. Wonderful. That's almost like saying, yep. Sometimes being too cautious is just an excuse for being afraid to take risks and move forward. Don't use this as your excuse to miss out on something amazing. Okay, it's almost contradictory, right? We've got anger. Somebody's angry. Did I not say somebody was spitting chips? Even though you are bursting inside, you need to remain calm. I was just saying that, right? Dig deep and find the strength to activate the self-control that lies within you. So yeah, that's doing things in a calm manner. Resilience is here. Someone is protecting you from the truth because they're worried about your response. Now this is macro here, right? Yeah. So the authorities are withholding information, possibly. I'm not going to say this is what's happening because YouTube will probably come down on that. Resilience. Someone is protecting you from the truth. We've been censored, right? Like we've been censored like big time. Because they're worried about the response. So they're worried about an uprising. right? It's not their decision to make. You're tougher than they think. Absolutely. It's definitely, yeah, so this is, we're not being told something here because of the fear of the retaliation. People are meant to stay calm and go, you know, like move accordingly with spiritual guidance, and I'm getting the mountains. Damn, really. The path, because the messages will be given. We've got weariness is in reverse. So weariness is in reverse. It says, no one has your best interest at heart, others have their own agendas. Step up and take control of this situation. It's the very thing that people are not expecting you to do. It is in reverse, weariness. So you'll be given the energy and the guidance. As long as you don't panic, you've got to be able to hear it. So you have to go into that stillness, that still place, to be able to hear the direction. Okay? Wow. I am going to leave it right there. This has been a pretty out there, incredible reading. And it was totally unplanned. As they always are, unplanned. They come out as they come out, right? So I'll leave it there and I'll see you in the next one. Please go with him, okay? What is right for you at this time? If you're on the right side of things, you will get the right guidance. But remember, the false prophet is what we profit from. Okay? I'll leave it there. Bye-bye.